Wednesday of the 5th week of Lent, April 9th, 2025. Abiding in God's Word to experience true freedom. Indiana. Today's Gospel. Jesus speaks to the Jews who had believed in him, urging them to abide in his word in order to experience true freedom. This passage highlights the importance of staying connected to God through his teachings and commandments in order to live a life of true freedom and fulfillment. Abiding in God's Word means not only hearing his teachings but also obeying them and living them out in our daily lives. It requires a deep commitment to following God's will and seeking to align our thoughts, actions, and desires with his. When we abide in God's Word, we allow his truth to shape and transform us, leading us towards a life of true freedom. True freedom, as Jesus describes it, is not the ability to do whatever we want, but rather the freedom from sin, guilt, and shame that comes from living in accordance with God's will. When we abide in God's Word, we are set free from the bondage of sin and the destructive patterns that hold us captive. We experience the freedom to live with purpose, joy, and fulfillment, knowing that we are walking in the light of God's truth. Abiding in God's Word also requires us to remain steadfast in our faith and trust in him, even when faced with challenges and temptations. It is through our obedience and reliance on God that we are able to experience true freedom and peace in our lives. When we abide in God's Word, we find strength and courage to face the trials and tribulations of life with confidence and hope. Jesus warns the Jews in this passage that those who do not abide in his word are slaves to sin and do not truly know God. By contrast, those who abide in his word are set free and experience a deep and intimate relationship with God. Abiding in God's word is a choice that leads to blessings, joy, and fulfillment in our lives. When we abide in God's word, we are guided by his truth and wisdom, which leads us towards a life of righteousness and holiness. We are called to walk in the footsteps of Jesus, following his example and teachings in all that we do. This requires humility, patience, and a willingness to surrender our will to God's. Abiding in God's word also means seeking his guidance and direction in every aspect of our lives. When we make decisions based on God's truth and wisdom, we are able to experience true freedom and peace, knowing that we are walking in his will. This requires a willingness to listen to the voice of God and follow his guidance, even when it may be difficult or challenging. As we abide by God's word, we also experience the love and grace of God in our lives. God's love is unconditional and boundless, and when we allow his love to fill our hearts and minds, we are able to experience true freedom and joy. God's grace is sufficient for us in every situation, and when we abide in his word, we are able to receive his grace and mercy in abundance. In conclusion, abiding in God's word is essential for experiencing true freedom and fulfillment in our lives. When we commit ourselves to following God's teachings and aligning our lives with his will, we are set free from sin and bondage and able to experience a deep and intimate relationship with God. True freedom is found in abiding in God's word and allowing his truth and grace to guide and transform us into his likeness. Let us therefore strive to abide in God's word daily, seeking his guidance and direction in all that we do, so that we may experience true freedom and joy in our lives. May God bless you all.